Just guess where this picture is from. How many of you from Kerala? Now suddenly, the moment I ask the question, there's a hint that it's not Kerala. This is from Rajasthan. Pratapgarh, Sanofi village. I think when we talk of transforming lives and landscapes, and ever since I have moved into this role, there's one picture that has just etched in my mind actually. If you can create something like this in a place like Sanofi in Pratapgarh, anything is possible. What I'll do is, I'll not spend much time in terms of talking of what we do, but I'll just stick to reflections. And I've used this title, Sound of Forest, and yesterday only Manishji was talking of he using social forestry as a case study at IIT Mumbai. But I actually want to tell a story. It's a story about a king who is grooming his youngest son, who is currently a prince, and sends him to a forest, to a guru, saying that, please give him as much wisdom as possible. So the prince goes to the forest, meets the guru, and the guru sends him, says, go into the forest and come back after 1 year and tell me what did you hear. So the prince completes his 1 year tenure, all excited, comes back. Guru asks, what did you sort of hear? And the prince says, I could hear the cuckoos sing, the hummingbirds hum, the grass blow, the crickets chirp, the wind holler. And he thought he has passed the test. The guru said, my son, it's not good enough. Please go back again, come back after 1 year. He goes back, frustrated, thinking that I've already heard everything. What else is left to be heard? And suddenly one fine morning, it sort of clicks that he's now listening to sounds which he had not listened earlier. He realizes probably now he's on the right track, and then goes back after 1 year. And the guru asks him, what did you hear now? And he says, I could hear the sound of the flowers opening, the sun rays warming, the grass drinking its morning dew. And that's when the guru says, now you're ready to take on the reins. It is about hearing the unheard. It's not about hearing the obvious. And I think when we are talking of, I will not talk of Seva and all, whenever you're talking of being responsible to the society, it's about hearing the unheard. And to me, that's been one of the key points that I've sort of internalized over the years. And in a sense, this is also articulated in a book. I'm sure most of you would have come across and read this book called Living Company, which is about researching as to what is common in organizations that have survived over 100 years. And two very interesting attributes. It says these organizations remain in harmony with the world around them. And more importantly, they are cohesive with a strong sense of identity. A strong sense of identity which is anchored on doing good to people. And I found a similarity between the story of the unheard and these 100-year-old organizations, because they also probably heard the unheard, and they were very responsive and they were in harmony in nature, and therefore they sort of survived for 100 years. If I were to sort of look at, and this is something which sort of guides us at ITC, and taking that harmony thing to sort of as a strategy, it is for me, businesses cannot succeed in societies that fail. And our endeavor would be is to ensure that societies are happy. Only then businesses can succeed. Reflections, I think since morning we have been talking of capacities and capabilities. And capacities and capabilities through empowered grassroots institutions. But I'll touch upon the other two, convergence of solutions. And it is premised on the thought that interconnected problems require interconnected solutions. I may do something on maternal and child health, but if I don't also get involved on nutrition, it does not serve the purpose. I may do something on social forestry saying forest should not be encroached, but unless I understand why is it encroached and then create something else as an alternative source for fodder or livelihood, I can't solve that particular problem. And the last, I think, is very important in terms of collaborative ecosystem. How can we all come together and work? Instead of each one trying to reinvent the wheel, how do we make the equation 1 + 1 = 3? And I was just thinking through some of the examples that were there today, is let's say tomorrow Indigo wants the ground cadre, and they require numbers at large levels, and they get youth from different parts of the country, and they require people with a particular skill or a particular competence, etc. Now, as a CSR initiative, corporates can actually work on those training and development, give them a ready workforce so that life becomes much more easier for them. I've seen it with organizations like very interesting example of Schneider. So we were working in Anganwadis. We were working on the infrastructure part of it. Now they wanted to work on solarization. In the normal course, they would have gone to some random Anganwadi where they didn't have any presence and did the solarization, not sure what the impact and outcome would be. Now we have partnered together and said, in the Anganwadis that we are working, can you actually now do the solarization there? And the beauty of this impact is the Anganwadi electricity bills have come down, but more importantly, the Anganwadis are getting at least 60 to 90 minutes extra because they don't shut the Anganwadi because of lack of power. And that 1.5 hours extra touch point for the Anganwadi Sevika with the children would have a huge impact into the child's holistic development. There was an ask in terms of what could be those 2 areas that the foundation can focus on, and it's just a coincidence that almost everybody is talking of that. I think the first, in my view, is Jal Shakti, where you really you should focus both in terms of the replenishment, reduction, and reduce. And my own personal belief is, जल है तो जिंदगी है, जल है तो जान है, जानवर है, जंगल है, जीविका है. And that's something that on the 3 tenets that I mentioned is something that we could look at. The second area I would say is Nari Shakti. And here again, how can we looking at the 3 dimensions of educate, empower, and enable. It's a gradual process. And what is important is if you have to reduce the vulnerability, you have to help the woman identify the inner voice. And once they identify the inner voice, how do you give them visibility and the confidence? So these are the 2 areas is what that I have to recommend in terms of where the foundation can focus. Thank you.
On the behalf of United Council of Ancient Wisdom and United Global Peace Foundation, I thank Mr. Prabhakar Lingareddy for coming and sharing his views.